You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, May 6th show. I provide you news on everything money, fresh information on market trends and conditions in our local economy. If you are hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And I will get you connected with any of the guests that I have in studio. And in studio right now, Marianne Leth with RE/MAX on the Lake. We're talking about millennials and buying a home. Marianne, thank you so much for joining me the first time in studio.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I am so thrilled. I love to talk about real estate, so I'm in the right place, I think.
I think you definitely are. And a little bit about Marianne. Marianne is a realtor with RE/MAX on the Lake and certified negotiation expert with international experience. She started her real estate career almost 15 years ago in Europe as a property manager, and later also as a project manager overseeing renovation and restoration of properties she managed to improve the future earnings potential to her clients. Marianne expanded her real estate career and is now a realtor providing real estate services in the greater Seattle area, particularly on the Eastside where she grew up. She has a son and a daughter, 26 and 25 years old, respectively, which has motivated her to especially focus on providing insight and guidance to the millennials and help these young first-time home buyers make their dream of home ownership a reality. Outside of real estate, Marianne loves to share quality time with her son and daughter, such as going hiking with their 5 dogs and enjoying the beautiful Pacific Northwest. I wish my husband would let me have 5 dogs. I'm lucky that I get to have my one.
You can have one of mine.
So, Marianne, we're going to be talking about younger first-time millennial homeowners in today's market in just a minute. But first, how about a little bit of an update on the current real estate market in our region? The news is all about that it's a pretty crazy market out there with historical low inventory, multiple offer situations, and buyers having to pay more than the listing price, sometimes way more. So what is the contributing factor to this hot market, and how did we get here?
Good question. But look around you. We have a robust and rapidly expanding economy in the region, and we've had that for a long time. And as we all know, we have some well-established absolute powerhouses of companies here in the area: Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Expedia, Nintendo, and the whole list. And now Facebook, for example, just built 1 million square feet of real estate in South Lake Union that can accommodate up to 2,000 employees, and they're planning to continue to grow in the region. Aerospace, obviously, Boeing, our stalwart company here that we grew old on, and our wonderful medical facilities, all these medical hospitals and facilities that we have in the area, and the spurred development of many different bioresearch companies that are also in the region. So it's created a vortex, if you could imagine, just feeding into itself. And we have a powerhouse of companies, and Seattle is just a hotbed of awesome talent that continues to attract well-educated and well-paid employees to this area. I mean, if you think about from 2010 to 2015, in 5 years, Seattle saw a population growth of 54,000 people.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And I mean, we have everything here, a beautiful Pacific Northwest where we all love to spend time outdoors. That's attracting a lot of, especially also foreign buyers. And if you think about it, by 2040, the predictions are in the greater Seattle area is expected to grow by 1.7 million people.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's crazy to think where are they going to all live?
Where are they going to live? Mm-hmm. And if you think traffic is bad now, just wait. But inventory, unfortunately, has not kept up with this demand. There just simply have not been enough homes that have been built since the bottom of the market. Nationwide, we're about 5 million units short of being able to meet demand. And building permits, especially here, they're not keeping up with the population growth. So in a nutshell, that's really what's creating this incredibly tight market.
Marianne, do you feel that we're currently in a real estate bubble similar to the one that led to the Great Recession?
You know, Tina, we hear this question all the time from people looking to buy, and they're beginning to question whether they should wait for a correction in the market, thinking that the same thing's going to happen. But and I have this discussion a lot, this is not the same market it was back then. And the reason that this is not the same market as back then is just what we talked about. We had an absolute booming economy, huge demand, low inventory, and there's not enough construction to meet demand. Supply and demand is seriously out of balance, and until this is evened out, price appreciation is going to continue for some time to come. And the real danger really is holding off in believing that prices will drop. That's a danger because people are missing out on buying opportunities that only in a couple of years could prove detrimental. Because if the price of appreciation that is continuing, the reality is there's a real cost. There's a real cost if you continue renting versus owning a home. It's a concept known as the equity gap. Let's say you bought a home in 2007 to 2017, and that price, they had a 40% price increase. And with the equity that you paid in to pay off your mortgage plus the equity gain, in the same time, a renter would be paying between $130,000 and $150,000 in rent to somebody else, to a landlord, and that money's gone forever. So there's actually, if you add that up, that's a $300,000 gap or difference in being a homeowner or a renter. And by choosing to rent because you think it's cheaper, you've actually lost out on a tremendous opportunity to build wealth. Don't try to time the market. There really is no time to buy like today.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if we're especially talking with the first-time home buyers, the challenge is being able to keep up with the market with, just what you're saying. And then we've got to consider interest rates. Interest rates every 0.25% they go up. You've lost $10,000 buying potential. And I think a lot of times renters don't look at the fact of the mortgage is a fixed rate payment. So then you know exactly what your payment's going to be outside of taxes and insurance, which are going to fluctuate based on what the property value does. But with rents, they're increasing 3 to 5% on an average. And now they've been increasing even more. So the risk is actually being able to afford to keep up with rent. I always say, we know the market at some point in time is going to adjust. We can't see it anywhere in the future because of all of the dynamics and things that you've brought up here, Marianne, but at some point in time it does have to. But even if our real estate property was going to drop or there wasn't any appreciation, I look at that as an added benefit because of the ability to own a home, have a fixed payment, at some point in time have a payment end in sight, and to get the tax write-off as well. So Marianne, how is the market directly affecting first-time home buyers, the millennials?
First and foremost, the affordability and credit issues, and the price escalation is just so fast, so steep that first-time home buyers can't save enough for down payment. By the time they think they have something saved, the price has gone up again. So most of the time right now we're seeing young millennials, they're just priced out of the market, and particularly the urban areas that are in very high demand, and that's where our high-tech companies are choosing to build right now in these urban areas. Look at South Lake Union, and they're hiring mostly young millennials who want to live and play close by. Another factor is the competition from older baby boomers who are now empty nesters. The kids are gone, and they want to have fun, and they don't want to sit alone in a 3,000 square foot house. So they're selling their large suburban homes to move into urban centers, and which is again causing competition with millennials vying for the same living space. Tina, affordability is one aspect, but because financing is really what's going to determine how much house a buyer can buy and what kind of loan they're eligible for. Maybe you could talk a little bit about credit scores and mortgages and what interest rates are doing just to get people up to date.
Yeah, one of you mentioned about down payment. A lot of people feel that they need a down payment to get into a home. There are a lot of options for grant and down payment assistance. So just as you said, if you can't save quick enough to keep up with appreciation, you can't save quick enough to keep up with interest rates. As interest rates increase, I'd mentioned earlier, every 0.25% is $10,000. So you have to be able to save and keep up with that. A lot of people also think that they need 20% to avoid PMI. You don't. You can get in and avoid paying monthly PMI with as low as 5% down. Credit, a lot of people don't realize you can get in a home with a 580 credit score. Get into a over $500,000 home if you meet the debt to income ratio. So there are a lot of things. And I've had buyers ask before, well, should I wait until I can get the best interest rate to improve my credit? And my answer is always no. If it makes sense for you to do something, get in now, because once we get your credit up, then you can go ahead and turn around and refinance. But you've built the equity, you've taken advantage of that tax benefit. So we're not in a position, I don't want any of the listeners to think that the banks are getting too aggressive with financing, because that was the reason the market dropped before. There's no stated income loan programs out there. You do have to meet a debt to income ratio. You have to have employment history. But if it makes sense and you can afford to make the mortgage payment, there are all kinds of options for you to be able to get into a home. So get in, have that sense of urgency, stay with the fight until you get your offer accepted. accept it and don't miss out on this amazing opportunity. So, Marianne, we hear a lot about millennials and that they have a different idea when it comes to home ownership. What do they really differ from other generations when it comes to buying a home?
I think when I talk to millennials, and I've talked to many, there's an inherent distrust in the system. Many were in the formative years during the Great Recession, and they saw maybe perhaps their parents losing a home to foreclosure, or they saw their parents lose savings in the form of stock market crash when that happened. Pew Research actually proves that, or showed that 19% of the millennials have no trust in people. So they're hesitant to invest in the stock market. They're hesitant to go buy homes because they're afraid of another market crash. And although they do have a different lifestyle, I mean, remember when we were young, we were kind of non-committal too. We wanted to go out and have fun and not have any commitments. They have some of the same things. They enjoy their independence. They don't want commitments. They don't have children. They're waiting to have children. They want to travel. And they don't have time or patience to maintain yards or fix things. They'd rather call up the landlord and say, hey, the faucet's busted. Come over and fix it. They don't want to deal with it. And so they're deferring marriage and starting a family. And those are really the motivators to buy a home. But, I spoke recently with a really good friend of mine who's an older millennial and had been renting. And she and her husband bought a house 3 years ago. And she said they've never once regretted it. Mm-hmm. Sure, there's the maintenance stuff that comes up. But when it's your own house, you just take care of it. Buying a home helped them grow and develop as people, both professionally and personally. Plus, it tapped into a creative side she never knew she had. Working in the yard and creating a living environment they absolutely love. And their monthly payments are stable, what you just discussed, and their home is already worth more now than when they bought it. Now she couldn't imagine not owning a home. Yeah.
And I think a lot of it too, our millennials, they've got education, they're making a lot of money. I think it's just taking that step and understanding it's an option, looking at the numbers and seeing all of the benefits. So Marianne, are there real estate opportunities for young people in today's market looking forward?
Oh, yes, absolutely. For those millennials willing to compromise and be flexible in their thinking and planning, there's some excellent buying opportunities. For example, if you're okay with moving out maybe just a little bit further away from the urban areas, maybe buying a smaller home or an older home that's move-in ready, but perhaps is in need of updating or remodeling that you could do over time, or into an area that may not seem as ideal and the competition is not as great. Compromise and flexibility is a huge advantage in getting a home in today's market. And the long-term opportunities, as we just talked about, the accelerated market is not going away anytime soon. Mm-hmm. So I truly, truly believe it is actually really important for young people to get into the market now so they can start building equity. That's the key right there. They could buy a smaller home, a condo. I'm working with a young woman right now, 25 years old, and she is buying a condo with the intent of buying a larger home. Get someone in, share the rent, get a house with a mother-in-law, share the mortgage costs. Lots of opportunity, but it starts with that first home so you can create those opportunities down the road.
Yeah, and so what is your recommendation for the millennials that I have listening to the show today, or the parents of millennials trying to help them get that next stage and they're thinking about buying a home?
Reach out to us. We have resources. We are so happy and willing to help people find the solution that fits for them. There's so much hype and misinformation out there, and it really comes down to what do you qualify for? And that's somebody like you that can determine that for them. So reach out and we will give you a roadmap how to improve your credit score if that's something that you're afraid of. We'll check in with you at regular intervals and find out where you're going, where you're headed. And we'll be there for you when you're ready and help you along if you're not quite ready yet. Be proactive and get excited about the prospect of owning a home.
Yeah, and I think that is the best advice, Marianne, is if you think at any opportunity or any chance that you might be looking at buying a home in the near future, 6 months, 12 months out, the best thing is to talk with a mortgage professional, get an idea, just like you said, put your plan together, meet with your realtor to put the plan together, and don't miss out on the opportunity. Marianne, what resources do you have for my listeners today?
For those that are interested, I have resources available for first-time home buyers, like a net worth calculator I developed so you can see how much you have, how much you owe, and where you need to be. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need more information, or just drop me an email or give me a call. You can reach me at 425-677-4148 and give me a call anytime.
Marianne, thank you so much for joining me in studio. I look forward to having you back on a future show.
Thank you for having me. I absolutely enjoyed it.
You're very welcome. And coming up next on the Money Hour, how do you market a listing? Noelle Bortfeld, Chief Marketing Officer with Windermere Real Estate, right here at 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.